everyone has a story in their town. And, you know, they're not all good, of course, but they're interesting ones.
If you had no idea of the stories, you wouldn't fear it at all. There would be no threat at all. I would think twice about swimming there for no apparent reason. I mean, the water is calm. There are no rocks underneath the surface. It's just a sandy bottom. There doesn't seem to be any danger there whatsoever, yet it has a terrible record of drownings. Why?
When I was in high school, the rumors were that it was a bottomless lake, and that every 10 years or so someone would drown and they'd never find the body. That there was underground, it was connected to something.
When we were kids, we came down here and we were watching for the submarines that came over from the sound.
Well, they say that it was bottomless. That's been the urban legend for years.
How much documentation there is to it, I think it's mostly folklore. But I can see where this could have been a lake, 200 years ago that would have had all of the mystery with it.
There are very few people that swim in that lake. There used to be thousands.
People came from Brooklyn all for the day, and the whole lake was all lit up. Jack Yertz, they had entertainment from New York and everything. Oh, it was a lively place.
When the crowd was down at the pavilions, the lifeguards they try to keep the people close to shore so people wouldn't drown.
We were there last summer, and there might have been 2 or 3 people in the whole lake. It almost seems silly to have that beach there, We were there one day, beautiful, warm, sunny day, and there was lifeguards sitting there in the lifeguard chair. There was no one on the beach. There wasn't anybody in the lake.
They actually did have a rope that went out about 10 feet in the lake, and that's like where you can swim.
They keep bringing the swimming area in closer and closer.
Growing up in Ronkonkoma, there was always a story of Lady of the Lake, some Indian princess.
The Lady of the Lake, there are so many stories, and it's all revolving around this Indian princess that supposedly drowned there. Maybe that did happen, and maybe that was passed on, and it was terrible. Maybe it was, the chief's daughter or someone that died, and the story kept getting passed on, how horrible she died there. But then one story leads to the next. The most popular version would be the one where on her wedding night, her husband-to-be was attacked by a settler, and she was so distraught that she canoed out into the middle of the lake, tied rocks to her ankles, and then jumped out of the canoe and died. And because she was so angry for someone taking her fiance's life, that from that point on, she decided to take every male that swam in the lake. There's another story where it wasn't a member of her tribe, that it was a white settler. And because he was white and she was Indian, and that wasn't acceptable, that she committed suicide because they could never be together. So there's a lot of stories surrounding this, that it's bottomless, that there are secret tunnels, that's how come no bodies have been found, because they've gone through these tunnels to places in Connecticut. And so people go there expecting to see this. People have claimed that they've seen lights or heard strange noises and screaming and that sort of thing. And then there is the talk of that she comes and drowns a male virgin every year. There have been some drownings there. Nothing has been completely confirmed, but a drowning is a drowning. It could be an accident. People drown in all sorts of places. But again, because it was there, it must be the Indian princess.
But I did have a friend from school that drowned in there.
Really?
Yeah, not a close friend, but a guy that I knew.
I know one of the fellas whose son drowned in the lake. We were just talking about that. It was about 7 years ago. He was crossing the lake in a canoe, and he fell out and unfortunately passed away. And that was the last one. The theory is there was usually one every year. And Unfortunately, it stopped about 7 or 8 years ago. How fortunate we are, we haven't had many drownings in the last couple of years.
There doesn't seem to be any reason, rhyme or reason for the drownings. So there's a story to explain them. You know, which came first, the drownings or the stories of the drownings?
The Indian chief that might have lost his daughter in the lake due to a drowning may have just said, I'm going to invent a story about her ghost roaming around the lake so that no one else goes to the lake and drowns. So many times people tell ghost stories just simply to scare people away from places that may be dangerous.